Vitamin D is a root cause, not having enough vitamin D in your body. We called it a vitamin early on because in the early days of nutrition research, anything that was vital to life that came from outside of the body was called a vitamin, and it was related to minerals in some way. So that's where vitamin came from. So vitamin D was named that years ago, but we now know it's actually a hormone. Our body can make vitamin D, take sunlight, it takes certain genetic traits, and you can make vitamin D. But most of us live indoors. Most of us work indoors. Most of us put sunscreens on. There's lots of reasons that the majority of adults have a suboptimal level of vitamin D.
You see so much of this on the internet. Oh, you don't need vitamin D supplementation. It's what you get from the sun. And again, you and I do this for a living. And what portion of people are good with vitamin D levels that don't supplement? You got any guesses, any thoughts?
In my experience, if they're not on a supplement, 90% have suboptimal vitamin D.
I haven't seen significant evidence about it because I think part of the problem is there's still so much argument and debate about what's the real best range for vitamin D. But I tend to focus more on higher levels, 60 to 90. And again, you just don't see those kind of levels from sun. Like you said, probably 10% or less. You really do need supplementation. The other myth that you'll hear is, oh, well, if you live south of that line between San Francisco and Atlanta, then you're good. No, you're not. The other thing is, I will typically see a husband and wife couple, the husband out playing golf for 20 hours a week and has low vitamin D. The wife never goes out and her vitamin D is fine. So again, just wanted to help hammer that home that supplementation is a big deal for vitamin D. Just getting out in the sun, despite what you may have heard of and seen many, many times on the internet, out in the sun is not enough.
Absolutely. And to tie the vitamin D into some very important reasons that having enough is critical is because vitamin D directly influences insulin sensitivity. If your vitamin D level is suboptimal, your insulin resistance is going to be harder to manage. I'm not saying that vitamin D cures insulin resistance. That's not what I'm saying, but it's a contributor to insulin resistance. So hormones are number one, produced in the body, but number two, regulate what other cells do. They tell a cell what to do. So a thyroid hormone tells cells how efficiently to burn energy. Insulin controls blood sugar, but oh, by the way, is a fat storage hormone. It directs certain cells to store fat. Well, vitamin D controls things like insulin resistance. It controls cellular growth. People that have psoriasis, for example, that skin disorder that causes the unsightly blemishes on arms and legs and elsewhere, that is a disease where the immune system triggers accelerated growth of those surface skin cells. So they get these thickened areas of skin called plaque. Different from arterial plaque, but it's the same thing in the skin. It's called plaque. And that plaque is because the cells are growing out of control. They're hyper-replicating. Well, a topical potent vitamin D preparation is the best way to turn off that at the local level. Rub it on the skin and the plaque of psoriasis starts to fade away. It's a cell growth regulator. Well, plaque in the arteries has lots of different cells involved in creating that. And again, vitamin D helps to regulate how quickly those cells grow and reproduce. And then it's anti-inflammatory. If it's optimal, it helps to control inflammation. And we could go on and on about vitamin D today, but know that it is a root cause. And if you're not treating it, if you're not addressing it, you're leaving your body exposed to oxidation, injury, inflammation, and all of the health problems that are resulted. Vitamin D, just real quickly to make a comment about supplement dosing, because it's a fat soluble substance, you can take too much. So you definitely want to be monitoring blood levels as you dose with a supplement. And keep in mind that some supplements, especially multiple vitamins, may have vitamin D in them. And if you're taking another supplement, it is possible to get toxic. So all supplements and all medicines are potential poisons. Always keep that in mind.
We do have a video. A patient came to me. It's one of the maybe the most common reason for developing vitamin D toxicity. You know, you have these preparations that have 25,000 or even 50,000. Those are made for weekly dosing. Patients will take them daily. I had one of those patients. I don't use the 25 and 50,000 for that reason, but she came to me from another provider and she was taking the 50,000, I think, on a daily basis. Her vitamin D level coming into me was in the high 120s. And people will say, oh, 120 is fine. No, it's not. Once you start looking at the evidence in the science, in the literature, once you start getting over 115, and some might even indicate 105, you're creating danger for kidney failure and even death. People have died from that. So just to underline again, from David's point, that's very real. Again, you often don't see the real facts on the internet. We've got some videos which can help in that space. That patient, by the way, did have some impact on her kidney functions when she came in to see us. I called her immediately when it came back as a panic lab value. Within a couple of months, her kidney functions were back normal.
Good thing she saw you.
Yeah, it's a good thing we tested.
That conversation triggered another thought about something we talked earlier. Ford talked about redoing the statin muscle side effect conversation. One thing that's important to know is that low vitamin D levels can increase the risk for some of the statin symptoms and myalgias. And so it's important to have an optimal vitamin D level